Good morning. My name is Susan Taka, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at MLUC. Welcome to all of you who are here, including our visitors and our friends who are joining us online. I hope that everyone who can will join us after the service across the hall for snacks, some warm coffee and tea. It's our chance to introduce ourselves and to get to know each other a little better. Today we gather in a time of struggle and uncertainty, facing injustice and division. Yet we come not to despair, but to reaffirm our commitment to justice, equity, and dignity. Here we choose love. Love that calls us to action, binds us in community, and reminds us that we are not alone. So come as you are, with your hopes and your fears. Whoever you are welcome here. Together, with courage and compassion, we move forward to a more just and loving world. Our worship team today includes our Senior Minister, Reverend John Morehouse, our Director of Family and Learning Ministries, Dawn Star Sarahs-Borchelt, our Director of Music, David Brown, with Jody Brown on piano, and our wonderful MLUC choir. And Paul Costa is our worship associate. So now please, silence your electronic devices and let us join together in affirming our mission statement. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
It's a close, warm and bright. Our chalice lighting this morning is We Are the Fundamentalists by Charles Thomas. We are the fundamentalists, not those who claim the name, but those of us who believe in human rights for everyone, who believe in fundamentals of fairness, of equality and equity, who believe in recognizing injustices of past, of present, and being accountable for ending them, who believe in caring for nature, who believe in restoring and maintaining the environment, who believe in working toward peace, toward freedom for all. Yes, we are the fundamentalists. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
A monastery had fallen on hard times. Do you know what a monastery is? It's a place where religious people come together to do good things and be closer to the divine. In this story, we'll call those people dedicants, or dedicants, because we're UUs. The monastery was a beautiful building with beautiful woods and fields all around it, but it was in terrible shape. The planet was hurting, becoming so hot that people could barely live. A few people came to walk and visit in the gardens, but everyone was afraid and discouraged and didn't know what to do. The government was rounding up people for no good reason and telling people what they could and couldn't say or teach their children. They were breaking things and telling people they couldn't fix them. There were more and more rules and fewer ways to get help if you needed it. The dedicates, who were of all genders, because this is a UU monastery, kept trying. Helping people was what they were there for, but they too were frightened and angry. They felt powerless, their community was hurting, and even the dedicants were losing faith in the power of love. The abbot, the leader of the monastery, abbot if it's a man or abbess if it's a woman, knew that people were close to despair.
This is the sound of one voice, one spirit, one voice, the sound of one who makes a choice. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. Deep in the woods, woods surrounding the monastery was a little hut that the rabbi from a nearby town occasionally used for a retreat. A rabbi is a teacher in the Jewish faith. And one day it occurred to the abbot to visit the hermitage to see if the rabbi could offer any advice that might save the monastery and bring hope to the people. The rabbi welcomed the abbot and commiserated. "I know how it is," she said. "Times are terrible, and we at the synagogue are frightened and angry too." The synagogue is a house of worship for Jewish people, so the old rabbi and the old abbot wept together and spoke quietly of deep things. This is the sound of voices too, the sound of me singing with you, helping each other to make it through. This is the sound of voices too. This is the sound of voices too.
This month's offering outreach partner is New Voters. New Voters began as a high school club in nearby Berwyn, where its founder registered over 85% of eligible students for the 2018 midterm election. Today, New Voters is still youth-led and has grown to be a national nonprofit that engages high school students across the country through nonpartisan voter registration drives and youth-led research and coalition building to expand youth engagement in politics and ensure youth voices are heard and prioritized in politics. Since inception, New Voters has impacted over 300,000 high school students and worked with student leaders in 39 states. Besides its voter registration drives, New Voters collaborates with like-minded groups to discuss critical topics and strategies to achieve high school civic engagement. It has also expanded to involve students in government policy formulation and implementation, political research, and civic tech. If you would like to make a donation online, follow the instructions that you see on the screen behind me. If you are in the sanctuary, you can also scan the QR code that is on the order of service to make a cashless donation. The offering will now be gratefully received.
We are building on the way.
The time came when the abbot had to leave. They embraced. "It has been wonderful being with you," said the abbot. but I have failed in my purpose for coming. Have you no piece of advice that might save the monastery and give the people hope?" "No, I'm sorry," said the rabbi. "I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you." Now, it's important to stop here and make sure everybody knows what a Messiah is. A Messiah is a word for someone who can save the world. A Messiah is someone who can make everything better and fix all of our problems. In our real world, Jewish holy texts predict the coming of a Messiah whom the Christians and Muslims believe to be Jesus, but the Jews believe that the Messiah has not yet appeared. So the abbot returned to the monastery and told the dedicates what the rabbi had said. They all wondered what the rabbi had meant. The Messiah is one of us. How can that be?
But as time went by, they started to look at one another in new ways. At first, the monks and the nuns thought, could it be the abbot? The abbot was always hopeful and there when times were hard. It must be him. And then one of them wondered, could it be the dedicant Eleanor? Yes, she's always worried about the environment and the flowers in the gardens. She sings to the plants. Perhaps she is the Messiah. And others wondered if it could be the dedicant Theophysis. Really? Theophysis? Could be so difficult, so ornery, always scolding us for wasting food, since food itself was sacred. Perhaps it was Theophysis, who knows why so many go hungry. Or could it be the dedicant Eliot? They're so timid, kind animals and all living things, but a Messiah? Maybe they are the Messiah. Or could it be the dedicant Willow? Willow is so wise. He's always telling us not to give up hope, that there's good in each of us, and that there's love at the center of our faith. Perhaps he is the Messiah. Or are you the Messiah? Are you the Messiah? What about you? What about you? Are you the Messiah?
This is the sound of voices three, singing together in harmony, surrendering to the mystery. This is the sound of voices three. This is the sound of voices three.
Candles of Community is MLUC's ritual of personal sharing and support in a trusted and safe environment. After each candle is lit, please join me in saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Eileen Andrews shares that her brother-in-law, Roy Schilling, passed away Tuesday evening from complications due to colon cancer. Eileen's sister Bobby and her husband Roy have been longtime members of the UU Church in Newport News, Virginia. For Eileen and her sister Bobby, we hold you in our hearts. Irene Milliken Owens, a longtime member of MLUC, passed away on February 9th, 2025. Her daughter, Amy Davis, called to inform the church. For Irene, Amy, and her family, we hold you in our hearts. And for all of those joys and concerns that are being held, some too deep for words, we light a candle and we hold you in our hearts.
How do you think the dedicates could find out who the Messiah really was? If you were the Messiah, how would people know? Would you speak truth to power? Would you welcome people who are different from you? Would you organize community care? Would you create beauty and share it? What would you do? Are you the Messiah? Is it you? What would the Messiah do to help the world as it is right now? When you came in and you got an order of service, inside the order of service was a little colorful piece of paper. And I want you to write one word that you think is something the Messiah would do if the Messiah was here right now to make the world better. You'll have a minute or two to do that. The ushers probably have more papers and more pencils if you need them. And then we have a map of the world. And I'm going to ask all the kids in the room to bring up their papers, but also bring up everybody else's papers so everybody doesn't have to get up and run around. And I've got push pins, and we're going to put the words that we think the Messiah would bring, something the Messiah would do to make the world healed, better, whole, holy, on the map. And later on, in coffee hour, you can come up and look at the map, and you can see what some of the words were, if you'd like. So I think we have some background music. Take a minute or two to write, and then as you're finished, hold your paper up, and kids, find a paper and bring it up, and I'll help you pin it on. something, which is that I needed a bigger map. And they're layered, but this is beautiful. We have our things that would save the world layered so thick that we can't even see the world anymore. And maybe that's the way it needs to be. It came to pass in this monastery that each of the dedicates saw the best in each other, because each of them was so special, so loving, so concerned about our world. They began to treat each other with extraordinary respect on the off chance that one of them might be the Messiah.
Forest in which the monastery was situated was beautiful. People occasionally came to visit. They picnicked, they wandered along the old paths, most of which led to the dilapidated chapel. But they sensed the aura of extraordinary respect, extraordinary love, extraordinary hope that surrounded the dedicants despite all that was wrong in the world. Their love permeated the atmosphere, and people began to come more frequently, bringing their friends, and their friends brought their friends, like we see happening here right now. Some of the younger people who came to visit began to engage in conversation with the dedicants. After a while, one asked if she might join the order, and then another, and then another, and within a few years, the monastery had started to thrive. People came to grow food and flowers. They began to organize to protect their neighbors. They began to care for one another and care for their world. And at least in that corner of the world, life was worth living again. And thanks to the rabbi's gift, there was a vibrant community of light and love.
Please feel free to join us in this final verse.
This is the sound of
One voice, one people, one voice, a song for everyone, one of us. This is the sound of one voice. This is the sound of one voice. We're going to engage in a responsive reading, but it's kind of a reverse responsive reading. So you'll find on an insert in your order of service this reading, and the italicized words are the ones that we'll all read together. Here we are from a blessing. A blessing on your healing hands that mend what empire breaks. A blessing on your quiet mornings when you choose to rise again. A blessing on the stories you preserve when others would erase them.
Beating steady through the storm of cruelty.
A blessing on the seeds you scatter.
In neglected spaces.
A blessing on your fierce protection.
Of all things small and wild.
A blessing on the wisdom you gather.
From elders and from earth.
A blessing on your careful documentation.
Of what must not be lost.
A blessing on your kitchen table strategies.
Where sly revolution simmers.
A blessing on the wild songs you sing.
When courage starts to falter.
A blessing on your strategic joy.
Deployed against despair.
A blessing on the future.
Being born in what you do.
A blessing on the bridges you build.
Between wounded communities.
A blessing on your sacred rage.
That fuels the work of redemptive justice.
A blessing on your children's children.
Who will know what you defended.
A blessing on the future.
You dare to imagine now.
A blessing on your patient labor.
Weaving networks thread by thread.
A blessing on your determined feet.
Traveling miles to serve the neglected.
A blessing on the light you kindle.
In harried sanctuaries.
A blessing on your underground railways.
Flourishing beneath the towers of empire.
A blessing on your midnight councils.
Where future liberation takes root.
A blessing on the ancient rhythms.
You drum against deception.
A blessing on your dance of defiance.
Nurturing your zeal for justice.
A blessing on the refuge you make.
For those cast out of comfort.
A blessing on your midnight vigils.
Tending truth's embers.
A blessing on the tomorrows you conjure.
From the wreckage of today.
A blessing on the myths you reshape.
To house new gods of justice. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 30, Over My Head.
Lord,